Okay, let's talk about design thinking. You've probably seen it everywhere. Job descriptions, team meetings, you name it. But what is it really? Is it just the latest corporate buzzword, or is it something more, something that could actually change how you tackle problems? Well, today we're going to cut right through all that noise and show you how this idea can go from a buzzword to your secret weapon for innovation. So, to really get this, let's first talk about what I like to call the graveyard of good intentions. I mean, it is filled with all these projects and products that were, technically amazing, but they totally flopped. And why is that? It's almost always because they were built for no one in particular. They were based on, well, a guess. Seriously, have you ever seen an idea that was just brilliant? Like, it should have been a huge success, but it just fizzled out? I know I have. We all have. And that super frustrating feeling, it almost always comes from the exact same place. And this right here, this is the great divide. See, on one side, you have us, maybe standing on this, I don't know, this shaky tower built out of our own assumptions, making what we think people want. And then way over on the other side, you've got real people with real, actual needs. That huge gap between our guesses and their reality, yeah, that's where amazing ideas go to die. Okay, so how do we cross that gap? Well, the answer isn't to just build a longer bridge made of more assumptions. No, the answer is to completely shift where we start. This is what we call the human-centered shift, and it is the absolute core of what design thinking is all about. So here you have it. At its heart, design thinking is a human-centered way of solving problems. And that right there, that's the key. It means we stop asking, hey, what can we build? And we start by asking, wait, who are we building this for? It's about shifting our focus from all the shiny features to the actual person on the other end. And this really shows that mindset shift perfectly. We're moving away from the old question, what can we build with this cool new tech we have? And we're starting to ask, what problem are we truly trying to solve here? And who are we solving it for? It sounds like a small change, but trust me, it changes absolutely everything. All right, so this all sounds great in theory, but how do you actually, do it? Well, this isn't just some vague philosophy. It's a real process. And that process is built on 5 core principles. This is the method behind the magic. And here they are: empathy, define, ideate, prototype, and test. Now, it's super important to think of this as a loop, not a straight line you just follow once. It's more like a roadmap that'll guide you from a kind of fuzzy problem all the way to a real-world solution. So let's break each of these down. First up, empathy. And everything starts right here. Now, this is way more than just feeling sorry for someone. It's about actually trying to walk a mile in their shoes. It means you're out there observing their world, you're listening to their story, and this is the hard part, you're shelving your own assumptions to really understand what they're struggling with. Okay, so once you're armed with all those real human insights, you move on to the define stage. This is where you take all that messy, real-world stuff you just learned, and you boil it down into a really clear, actionable problem statement. You know the saying, a problem well-defined is a problem half solved? That's exactly what this is about. All right, now for the fun part. Ideate. Think of your problem statement as your North Star. Now your team's job is just to go wide. This is a total judgment-free zone. The goal here is not to find the one perfect idea. Not yet. The goal is to generate a ton of ideas. The crazy ones, the simple ones, the impossible ones. Just get them all out there. So how do you make all those abstract ideas feel real? You prototype. And let's be super clear here. A prototype is not a finished product. It could be as simple as a few sketches on a piece of paper, or even just acting out an interaction. Its only job is to make your idea real enough for someone to look at and react to. And that leads us right into our final step, test. This is where you take that scrappy little prototype and you put it in front of actual users. Now, the goal here is not to have them tell you how brilliant you are. The goal is to learn. Every piece of feedback, good or bad, is a gift. It tells you exactly what to fix, what to change, or, hey, maybe even when it's time to go back to the drawing board. So there you have it, the 5 principles that make up the whole loop. But, following these steps isn't just some classroom exercise. This process creates real, tangible impact. So let's talk about why this whole thing actually works so well. I mean, the benefits here are just huge. Remember that big gap we talked about between our assumptions and what people actually need? Well, this whole process is designed to close that gap.
By testing your ideas when they're still just simple, cheap sketches, you seriously reduce the risk of wasting a ton of time and money building the wrong thing. And in the end, you create stuff that people actually want and use.
And please don't make the mistake of thinking this is only for software designers. Just look at this. We're talking about healthcare improving the patient journey, or education creating better ways for students to learn. The industry doesn't matter. The common thread is always that relentless focus on the human being at the center of it all. And that's what makes it so powerful.
Okay, so this all probably sounds great, but the big question is, how do you actually get started? Well, the good news is you don't need a huge budget or some fancy innovation lab. Let's make this really actionable for you right now. Seriously, you could start doing this tomorrow with zero budget. Instead of shooting off another email, go actually talk to one of your customers face to face. Before you kick off your next project, just spend 1 extra hour really digging in and defining the actual problem you're trying to solve. Grab a pack of sticky notes and do a quick 15-minute brainstorm where there are no bad ideas. See? The key isn't to be perfect, it's just to start that cycle of learning.
And that brings us to the final and maybe the most important idea of all. When you start doing this consistently, something really cool happens. Design thinking stops being just a set of steps you follow, and it becomes a mindset. It becomes the way you see the world, a new way of looking at problems that always puts people first. And that, my friends, is a real breakthrough.